But I think the question is today, how can you be the GOP presidential candidate today in an election that we have to win and take the victories where we can and continue to make progress where we can on this issue? How can you have a different position, as squeamish as some people will say, and some people will say he moved hard left here, center on life? He went from the most pro-life candidate in 2016 to really now a pro-choice candidate, which, again, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that's where he's at. He certainly has moved left from what I heard today. But what other position can you have today and be electable?
Well, I wonder if you're conflating one with the other. Like, his personal opinion, I would think, is pro-life, right? That's what he's talked about, and he says he's seen some things that made him change his position, where he used to be pro-choice, but now he's pro-life.
Right.
But I think he's smart enough to realize that, hey, not everybody's right where I am, and that's fine, and that's where we are as a country.
But he's taking the position today, the consensus of the majority of the country.
Right.
Wouldn't you agree?
Right. I think he's taking the position of,
he's against a ban, firmly in support of exceptions for rape, incest, and mother's help. That's where most people are.
Right. That's where most people are. But again...
But that's not where pro-lifers are.
But right. Pro-lifers are way over here, and it's like, well, you know what? You have to understand not everybody is over there.
But he takes it off the table for the Dems to argue a little bit.
And that's the big issue, because he kicks it back to the states. Say, look, this is the way the republic was laid out. So now... anybody in any state, if you want it a certain way, you can argue for it. You don't have to worry about being forced. If the people in Oklahoma believe something and you live in New York City, you don't have to live by the people in Oklahoma's, by what they want. You can set it up the way you want it, and that's the way it was always meant to be when it comes to these things. And it's amazing, too, because I've got clips here from Hillary and Joe Biden on the abortion issue from 2006 and 2008, talking about how it should be rare, it should be only used in certain times, which is basically where this president sits right now. And nobody seemed to be, throwing their hands up and freaking out over Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton back in the mid-2000s.
Yeah. I guess you can make a federalism argument, right? That there's two bodies, an overall government body and a smaller body, smaller bodies that can create their own destiny, kind of. So, well,
that's kind of where we stand now. Like in New York, if you want to have an abortion the day before your kid's born, you'll probably be allowed to do it. In Florida or Texas or some, the other states, you probably will have a certain number of weeks or whatever, whatever. I mean, President Trump spoke out very harshly against a 6-week heartbeat bill that DeSantis put forward. I think part of that was because it was DeSantis, and he would have spoken out against anything DeSantis put out at the time,
right?
Because he was in the race at the time. But most people who look at that think the only thing bad about that is the 6 weeks. So that's the other extreme.
Didn't Trump propose 12 to 15 weeks at that point? When DeSantis came out with that in Iowa, he made a speech, I believe.
So just to give you the kind of both sides, Allie Beth Stuckey says today, pro-life evangelicals make a huge voting bloc, yet we now have exactly 0 presidential candidates vying for our vote. RFK picked a far-left social justice activist. Donald Trump's out here reminding those to the left of us that he's now a squish on abortion. Trump's statement today was a signal to the left that threw truly pro-life Christians under the bus. The cheering of IVF, support of nonsensical abortion exceptions, and his, quote, will of the people repetition are all ways to convey the message. Quote, see, I'm not like those radicals to the right of me. I'm moderate, sane, compassionate, and pro-democracy. He's been successfully empathy shamed by the left and still thinks somehow that he's going to convince some of them to vote for him. It is what it is. Trump, even currently today, is currently the most pro-life candidate of the bunch, which makes it downright sad. And I think one of the key things in there, she says, is the fact that I think she's right about the fact that nothing he said today in making this more kind of squeamish move to the left on abortion is going to get one person to vote for him who was thinking there's not one vote that changes for him from somebody who's even remotely sane on the issue and not with most of the Democratic Party, which is basically abortion on demand.
Right. But and David pointed it out, and he's done it with other issues as well. He takes it off the table. You can't beat me over the head with this now because I'm right where you guys are.